Hey, Patreon backers, thanks again for supporting us. We really appreciate it, especially right now when the AdSense CPM is lower because, you know, economy. But we are in good shape, and a lot of it's thanks to you. So this one is a Patreon's Ask GN episode. Got a couple really good questions from the Patreon Discord. Again, if you don't know how to join it, go to Google and type in connect Patreon to Discord or vice versa, and that will have instructions for you on how to connect the two. You can do it through the API. It's all automated. First question is from Cmoney, who has actually had a lot of questions in these, who says, let's say that hypothetically you have to play all of the video you currently have content for. How much extra content do you have in the production channel that is ready to go? I'm not 100% sure what the phrasing of this question means, but I think I understand it. So I'm going to answer it based on what I think you're asking. Typically, we go day by day. So I think a lot of people assume that we have weeks of content. Sometimes we have content that's been around for weeks, but it's not like we have weeks of content. It's just it might be a video piece that sat around waiting for some reason. Like we wanted to get an answer in the industry. Maybe I needed to QC it and I haven't had time. Maybe we needed to rerun tests, whatever. Typically, we are basically on fumes. So, I mean, the videos you see go up. The reason they go up at weird hours is because that's when I finish it for the day and that's when everyone's gone home and I can work on uploading. So a lot of the time, the video that goes up that day was made that day. But I'd say that's probably, maybe that's like 40% of the time now. And then probably like 50% of the time is it was made the day prior. And then the other 10% is we've been able to get ahead for once. So right now we're in that situation where because we went to Taipei, we made all this factory tour content, I saw the views plummet because it was right when the human malware story blew up and everybody was eyes glued to the TV, 24/7 news channels, wall-to-wall coverage of one thing. And it's really hard for us to compete with that. So we said, you know what? Why should we waste some of our best content now? Let's upload other stuff. Let's upload stuff that's got like more chance of success. We'll hold the factory tours for later. And we don't want them to just flop because we can't get them to peek through all the other coverage. So back to your question, specifically right now, I've probably got about a week of stuff that's ready, which is really rare. It's nice because it means if, you know, this is a day-by-day operation for me. I often do like 16 plus hours. I've drawn it back a lot this year, probably down to 16 on average rather than like 18 to 20 on average, what it used to be, but still a lot. And so actually today's probably about 18. But yeah, so the problem with that is even if we have a week of videos that are ready, what it really means is that the editors have finished and now I need to watch it. Our videos are like half an hour long. So I watch them at like 4x and it still takes forever. So thank you for being really patient because I don't have the patience a lot of the time at the end of the day, but I still have to watch them to QC them. And a week of content unfortunately means I'm still watching the video that goes up that day on that day to make sure it's good. And if there's a problem, then normally it's really stressful because it's like, okay, it's 4 p.m. I wanted to upload this now, but I gotta fix it. And then it'll go up at like 11 or maybe 3 a.m. instead or something. But yeah, it's basically day-to-day operation. It is, so yeah, how much would we have on the production channel ready to go? I guess it'd be currently about 7 days, but I would need to watch them all, need to make the thumbnails, titles, all that stuff, description. All of it takes time every step of the way. Next one, Yewzie says, these are all from Discord, I think, as they should be. Yewzie says, for your upcoming RipJ stuff, did you try overclocking both cards on air before choosing the one you were going to use for your shunt modding to bin the two cards? Actually, no. I had data for both of them, but I didn't really pay attention to which one was better because in the rush to leave for Asia, for Taipei specifically, I pulled the closest. God damn it. That happened in the other video too. I pulled the closest Titan RTX, packed it as well as I could and threw it in the camera bag, and that was it. Surprisingly, the TSA didn't ask questions. I was shocked about that. But we did have data for both. I've modded the other one now. It does not look pretty because I did it, but it works. Next one, Nory. Did your COVID... Did your Did your human malware video get demonetized? That was a close one, Nory. You almost got me. So, no, but it made less money from, I don't think I can really go into more detail than that with YouTube, but basically the way it works is if you, I mean, I had it in the title, right? And I knew what I was doing. So you put it in the title, you're definitely gonna get flagged. And it takes away some of the banner ad space and gives it to the, I don't know if it's a Wikipedia page or what, but it's an awareness page of some sort. And so you lose some of the banner ads there, and that drives down the CPM, the cost per 1,000 views that you make for the video through AdSense. But it was not demonetized, so that's good. As far as saying the name in a video script, YouTube definitely looks at the scripts of videos. Hi, YouTube bots. You don't understand what this means yet, but you will one day. It definitely looks at the script. But I think it's basically looking for like bad words. So when you rate your video as not having any profanity, YouTube's, they're only asking you to be polite. They know. So I think that's all it's really looking for right now, but it might be looking for the, I'm paranoid. I mean, it's my money, right? Like, it's how I make a living. So I'm obviously paranoid about saying anything in the script that the algorithm, which I shouldn't really say algorithm, but the software, I guess probably safest to say, God damn it, the software that reads the script, I don't want to feed it things that would mark against us. How much do you rely on your front brake when riding your e-bike? A lot. I mean, I am a mountain biker first and foremost before an e-bike rider, but first thing I did on that bike was I took it out at night locally, and I picked an area where there was no one around, and I would accelerate to probably, it goes about 48, I would accelerate to about 30, and then slam the brakes. And I would slam them a little harder each time, and then I started going 48, and I would slam the brakes. This is with no one around. And the whole point of that exercise was so that I could get used to the stopping power and how much it'll jolt me forward. What we don't want to have happen is have someone stop suddenly in front of you, like a car or something. You slam the brakes, and then you fly your head into their I guess not their windshield, but into their trunk. So I wanted to make sure I understood the stopping power and understood how much I need to like really push my weight back when I do that, how hard I need to brace myself if I do that. So yeah, I use the front brake all the time. I mean, for downhill mountain biking, you really only want to use the rear brake for control and use the front brake for stopping power. It's most of your stopping power. I try not to use its brakes at all really for downhill, but you know, if you have to use it, if you have to stop for a cliff or something, which there's a video on this channel where I didn't do that in time, then the front brakes, yeah, I mean, I'm very used to it. The e-bike, I mostly use the regenerative brake. So I'm sure there's people in the audience who understand this, but my like 5 seconds of research understanding of a regen brake on an e-bike, I think it's an electromagnet in the motor, in the hub motor, that turns on to provide resistance or stopping power. So I think that's how it works. So it regens about 9 to 10% of the battery over the life of the battery for a charge, which is really cool. It's very strong stopping power. It's cool because I've got 3 independent systems. So if one brake fails me, I've got 2 other ones. And the regen's pretty strong. I would say it's about the same strength as the back brake, and maybe a bit more actually. And then the front brake is very strong, but it's just a standard hydraulic disc brake. Next one is from Dabanhfreak. Says, awesome, you got your folding at home rig going. How many individual machines could GN feasibly build for folding at home? I saw a surplus of hardware in your Cat Angels video. A whole hell of a lot is the answer to that. But a couple things. I wouldn't want to tie up video cards we need for testing. I wouldn't want to abuse video cards or CPUs that we need for regression testing thermally. But we could still build a lot. The problem is the work units. So I want to build more. It'd be a hell of a lot of fun, and I do kind of plan on it. I have been planning on it, but until there's consistent work units, there's really no point. So yeah, but to answer your question, I don't know. We could probably put like 20 video cards in a couple systems. I'm not really sure if it works the same way as mining. I guess you could just use like risers in the same motherboard or something. But next question is from, last question is from Inderjeet Singh. He's a regular here. It says, with the human malware situation impacting product launches, and this is merely speculation, are manufacturers looking to be mindful about, no, no, they're not. Looking to be mindful about potentially having product launches happening at the same time, creating a massive workload spike for reviewers and possible burnout. They don't care about us one damn bit. The people do, often. A lot of the individual contacts do care, and they do show empathy or sympathy, depending on the situation, when there's a lot of product launches at once. But it's not their decision, it's the companies, and the company doesn't give it, they don't care. So look at AMD, right? This is before the human malware stuff. And AMD last year was like, let's launch literally all of our CPUs on one day. At Intel, November, and AMD launched CPUs on the same day. NVIDIA launched GPUs like the same week or something, or within a couple weeks of some major CPU launches. They don't care. They launch based on what their competitors are doing. And if I think Buildzoid said this in the chat too, but if you're Intel in this example and your product is weaker and you know it, if you made the 10980XE, your best bet is to launch before, like well in advance of your competitor's alternative, because you need to hit the market and make some sales before your product is invalidated. Unfortunately for Intel, they launched on the same day, but they were a couple hours ahead. So typically though, they'd want to launch like a month in advance or something. If you have the better product, you want to probably try and tee up to launch at the same time as your competitor so you can bury it, so they don't collect any money in between the cycles. So no, they don't care about us. I mean, like I said, individual people do. There's some really great people we work with at all these companies who, I mean, there's one guy in particular I'm thinking of who used to work for Gigabyte and now has moved to another company that I won't name, I guess, since it's his active company. But at Gigabyte, he would take our criticisms and push it to the top, and we'd see results, like within a couple months. There'd be changes. They'd come back to us with, look at these great new motherboard VRM designs that we did based on Buildzoid's feedback, or look at this BIOS update that we did based on your feedback. So some people really do care about the reviewers they work with, and they really want to advance the product. And once you're working on this side of the industry for long enough, you start to realize like the value that just one person can provide. You wouldn't really think that's true for a company that might have, like, I don't know, take Intel for an extreme, like 100,000 employees or whatever it is. You wouldn't really think that one person has a huge impact. And I'm sure if you're working there, you wouldn't feel that way in the moment. But we see it firsthand. So the people who care about the reviewers they work with and care about the product they make and are really passionate about their job, it's so rare for that person to exist and to also be technically competent. A lot of people will either be kind of like checked out doing their job, which is fine, I guess, or they are like pushing against everybody. Like they think it's their job to protect the company rather than to try and innovate. And so anyway, if you get the right person, yes, they would want to. I've had conversations with people where we talked about creating massive workload spikes and potential burnout, like you're talking about. And those people have pushed back on their higher ups to say, hey, we should maybe push this out a week to give the reviewers a break because they're going to hate us. And our product better be real damn good if they're going to hate us. So yeah, sometimes that person can push up the chain, but it's very rarely successful. So anyway, that's it for this one before any more CPUs fall over. Thanks for watching. Yeah, go to Patreon or go to Google, search Patreon, Discord connection or something, and you'll get in the chat. And post more questions for us. We need some more for next time. I'll see you all next time.